Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as ever with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, plenty of stuff has happened today, which is part of the reason why we've jumped on this. But this is going to be a bumper-filled Villa Filler podcast, isn't it? But first of all, before we get into that, mate, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. You're right. It is very busy today. I just realised, I'm taking the edit on this one, and I've got to come up with a way to title this. There's like 10 different things which we want to talk about. Obviously, a lot of outs, maybe some ins, a lot of general happenings at the club. We've got to talk about the boys that went and won the under-19 men's Euros with England as well. There's a whole bunch of stuff that have gone on in the Villa sphere. And what's nice is that I think we can say it's all pretty positive, all nice things to talk about. A lot of good stuff, which I'm excited to get into, mate, which hasn't always been the case on the Villa Filler podcast, has it? So we've got to make the most of these episodes when we're getting sort of 5 or 6 topics, which we're quite eager to chat about. So it's nice.
Absolutely. It is by definition a Villa Filler today, guys. It is packed to
the
brim. First of all, though, Dan, Ashley Young, 1-year contract. Finally, that's been sorted out. I know you feel the same, mate, but for me, this was something that I just really felt needed to get done. And there was so much talk of why is he stalling? If he doesn't want to be here, then it's ridiculous. The man's 37. He's going to be 38, possibly 39 by the time this contract expires. Of course, he's going to take time to consider, and he's in no rush. But I'm buzzing, mate, that he's committed to the club for another year, because I think we've spoke so many times. I think on the pitch, we perhaps expected a little bit more, I think is fair to say, from when he came from Inter. Obviously, it's a completely different league, but I think we kind of thought, I don't know, he, again, perspective, he's 37 years old. So maybe our initial reaction to when he first joined, we maybe overestimated what he'd be capable of in the Premier League now, Dan, but more so what he offers off the pitch is why I'm absolutely buzzing he signed this contract extension, mate.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I think I was slightly surprised by the sort of the level that he came at. It was maybe slightly below what I was expecting, but obviously you have to take that with a bit of a pinch of salt. I mean, there were the crazy early games where we were playing in central midfield, which I'm sure he nor either of us have too fond memories of. So there's a big pinch of salt. And look, I mean, we all saw how eager Gerrard was to lean on him in his early games in charge. Ashley was a figure at the club that he spoke really positively about, that he included in a lot of his matchday squads and his first few first team selections. So yeah, it's one that almost is worth renewing for his off-field contributions, which seem so positive. He's a real. We have a generally young squad, one of the younger in the Premier League, and having an elder statesman around that's been around a lot, seen the ropes in not just here but in Italy as well. Gone and won several domestic titles in his career. It's one of those where I think it's strange that people were questioning how long he's going to take. You can't question this man's professionalism. Look at the level that he's playing at. Look at the level that he's played at for the longest time, how well he clearly takes care of himself. Still got a hunger for the game. And look, it's like, I don't think we'll see too many first team minutes from him. Obviously, we are still looking to pick up in that left back slot, where he tends to play. But hey, he's a nice guy to have around, can fill in on either side should we need him to. I think we'll see him in maybe a few of the early cup rounds and stuff like that. But no, it's one that, good to see, mate. I think it's nice to see that, he's happy to stick around. This will probably be the final. I can't imagine there'll be another 1-year renewal after this. So It's probably potentially the last year of his career. And it's very nice. There's a lovely narrative for him to finish his career at Villa. So can't disagree with this one, mate.
It's a good job, mate, that Spurs signed Perisic. You can't help but feel like if they missed out on him, Conte would potentially be looking for a reunion.
Yes, very true, mate.
Spurs left wing back. But no, as you say, mate, I think it's proven. I don't know. It's a weird one. There's been a bit of discussion, really, especially with slightly off topic, but the fact that Hickey seems to be really close to agreeing a move to Brentford. Obviously, a name that's been bandied about for the longest time, and there's been Sergio Gomez. And a few of the names that we spoke about on the channel, mate. Villa haven't got a left back in yet, and I've seen some people dismiss it, but I think some people, I do think that if you are a left back and you're looking at Luca Dean, And I think it's a bit of a myth, right? It's a bit of a myth, isn't it, that a player won't sign because they don't think that they're going to get in ahead. But there may be some sort of credit to that. I don't know. I look at Spurs, Harry Kane, no striker in their good mind is going to go to Tottenham because they know they're not going to be Harry Kane. Richarlison's different because he will play in a sort of forward position. He's not going to be the main central striker that Harry Kane is. Before anyone comes at me in the comments for that, I think. Do you think it's proven to be a bit difficult to recruit for this position, mate? And that is potentially what's contributed again to the extra renewal of Ash, because I don't know. Like in theory, it shouldn't be this difficult, but are Villa playing the long game? What's going on here? What do you think?
I think we're ultimately scouting in a very different pool. I think you and I have both said on this podcast that we both see this position as a real opportunity for the scouts to stretch their legs, to widen their searching and go and really earn their money. Go and pick someone up for just no more than 10, 15 million pounds. That is young, is hungry, maybe has come from not even one of Europe's top 5 leagues. Go and get a real gem. Go and unearth someone that can come and give Luca Dean some competition. It's, obviously a lot of the signings we've made under Gerrard have been household names. And so, it's an easy one to go and recruit, but it's not an urgent position to fill. Obviously, we do have Dean. We've just renewed Ashley. So it's one that perhaps will take a longer duration of the window just for the scouts to get that right. Maybe they want to go and watch a bit of pre-season from whoever they're, thinking of buying. It's one that I'm happy for the club to take their time on because it is going to be a bit more, I feel, of a deeper dive into Europe to go and unearth someone young, someone with quite a high ceiling that can come in and give competition. I think you're right in saying that, no highly rated, especially in a World Cup year. Obviously, a lot of players are very eager to nail down positions and play regular minutes so that they can get, especially players on a top level, get selected for the World Cup. So it's not easy with Dean in there because no one's going to come in and shunt him aside. But I think ultimately it's a different profile that we're looking for, and I think that's maybe why it's taken a bit longer.
Yeah, for sure. On the subject of scouting, actually, mate, have you seen the movie Hustle on Netflix?
Yes.
How good is that film, by the way?
Very good. Yeah, really enjoyed. I watched it not long ago, actually. Must have been a couple of weeks ago, maybe. Yes, very good, mate.
For those of you who haven't seen it, it's called Hustle. It's on Netflix. It's an Adam Sandler film. Don't roll your eyes because Adam Sandler can actually act. I know it's hard to believe, but like if you've seen like Uncut Gems and things like that, he's got really good acting chops. And it's basically about this scout, this NBA scout, and he finds this Spanish basketball player, brings him back. It's a brilliant film. If anybody likes watching like sports films, it's one for you.
It's like a grittier goal, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. But it's so emotional, isn't it? As well. Like, you really want the guy to succeed, and you really want Adam Sandler's character to prove his point. It's a brilliant film. So I'd highly recommend.
Maybe that's what's going on at Bodymore.
But yeah, I'd hope so. Listen, we need a full length movie on the next player who's signing, mate. I want to see the whole process documented like this. That'd be insane. But mate, yeah, I'm not too stressed at the end of the day. It's going to be a difficult market. I think we're seeing there's a lot of business going on. And in terms of securing moves and getting game time and to look in a Villa context, play in a position that you want to play in. Douglas Luiz, he's one. I feel like every podcast we've done recently has been about Douglas Luiz. So I do apologise, guys, but Frank Kessie has just left AC Milan and signed for Barcelona. And there were reports that came out last night from Italy that stated AC Milan are highly interested in signing Douglas Luiz. They believe they can get him for around 20 million euros, which equates to about 17 million pounds. I would not be happy with this whatsoever, mate. Straight off the bat, 17 million pounds, 2 million pounds more than we paid for him. This is the problem, though, when you sort of, I don't want to say chance it because the contract negotiations have been going on for a while. And for whatever reason, terms haven't been agreed yet. But players entering their final year of their contract is an extremely dangerous game. And it's something that players are doing a lot more of recently. And like from a player's perspective, I fully understand it. Go and get your money. Team don't have to spend the transfer fee on you. You get a higher bonus. You get a higher salary. I'm all for it. But from looking at this from like our Villa perspective, it would be disastrous if we got anything less than 25 million for Douglas Luiz for what he will go on to achieve.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I have to agree. That's the fee. If this was up by sort of that 8 to 10 million euros, I think I would be okay with this. It's a great move for Dougie. Like, it's Serie A champions, Champions League football. I think it's a league that would really suit him. I think it's interesting that, obviously you're right that Kessié has just gone to Barcelona, and I don't think that he's necessarily the replacement for Kessié. It'd be interesting to see where AC Milan want to play him. They have a fantastic midfield. Obviously, Kessié is there. Benacer is a brilliant player as well. Sandro Tonali. So they're quite well stacked in that 6 to 8 position. So it'd be interesting to see where he fits in. I think it's very telling that it's felt like Dougie is in the shop window. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I think it's no coincidence. The club seem very careful as to who they put there. You think of the other guys in that midfield position. John McGinn feels untouchable. Jacob Ramsey feels untouchable. Whereas Luiz, you almost felt like the club was a little bit less sold on that, and that if the right thing came in, that we'd let him go. And I don't think the right thing has come in yet. I'd be surprised if anything's coming yet, to be honest with you. But it's easy to see why Dougie would be attracted to this move. Obviously, they're a club that are playing in a completely different stratosphere to the Villa right now. A league where I think his football would probably be more suited, and where his sort of temperament is more suited to as well. So yeah, I think on a personal level, it makes great sense. And I think if we can just iron out the financial kinks, I think it would be difficult to stand in his way on this one, because you can, for anybody, moving to a club like AC Milan at this stage in your career would be amazing.
Yeah, no, it would. And the thing is as well, I think there's quite a few ways you can look at this. Villa have to raise funds somehow, and certainly not going to be through the selling of Castore merch. And it's certainly not through seasons. That's not sizable enough when it comes to sort of balancing the books with financial fair play. There will be casualties over the next few years, and you will have to sell some assets that you may not want to. And I think, to be fair, people are fairly split on Douglas, aren't they? I think in the fan base, I think there'd be 50% of people who are absolutely devastated he's gone, and another 50% of people that can't wait to see the back of him. But you can't help but feel like, of the squad that's there now, if you take Douglas out and you make a bit of money on him, I don't think that's as bad as perhaps selling Ollie, selling John McGinn, selling Martinez, which again, these sales may have to come at some point, but money has to be raised somehow. And if Douglas leaves, then that is, of course, creating somewhat of a pathway for some of these incredibly talented youngsters, mate, that have gone on to win the men's under-19s Euros, specifically Carney Chukwuemeka, captained England on a few occasions, mate. Doesn't look like he's any closer to signing a contract. The Euros has come at a really, really important time for Carney. And again, when we talk about players entering the final year of their contracts, a little bit different when they are when they're younger lads. As I believe, if wherever he goes, I think Villa would be owed compensation, perhaps. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, guys. But Carney he's shown us what he's about, man, and he's looked good. There have been times, I'll admit, where I thought, he could have potentially put himself about a bit more. Or there've been some questionable aspects of his performance, but he's playing consistent games. He even captained England at times. Scored in the final. Got a couple of goals and assists elsewhere, and it puts us in a really difficult position, right? Because if we're being completely and totally honest, mate, what we have seen from Carney so far when he's played for the first team hasn't been good enough necessarily to warrant giving him more starting minutes. Okay. And for where Aston Villa want to be, which is ultimately chasing Europa Conference, Europa League, is Carney Chukwuemeka capable of playing 20 games a season in the Premier League right at this minute? I don't think so. But then it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because he could go elsewhere, and fulfill that potential and eventually be that player in 1 or 2 years' time. It's a really difficult situation the club find themselves in, mate. It's a catch 22, and I don't see how Villa benefit from this situation, mate, because if I'm being honest at this stage, I don't see an agreement being made.
You know, I do still hold out hope, and I do still have a feeling he will re-sign. I mean, look, I watched a lot of these under-19s Euros, covered a lot of them with work and everything like that. And Carney's one of, if not the best players on that football pitch. It's like, I thought Dane Scarlett had a brilliant Euros, thought Harvey Vale looked good, thought Aaron Ramsey looked really good when he came off the bench at times and stuff like that. But Carney was so good, especially in the group games. And it sort of dawned on me a little bit that they have this opportunity with the Euros. It's a chance. It's like you know, it's their European Championships. You know what I mean? It's like any other player running with his contract running down with a big international tournament coming up. It's like, you know, it's a good opportunity for him to prove himself, see where his level is at compared to, you know, other guys of his age. And be sort of gauge his level and let other clubs gauge his level as well. And I think it makes sense on a personal level if he's not completely decided on where he wants to be, to put himself out there and play well and see what interest he can rack up. But I think if anything, it's felt like it's drawn him a little bit closer to home. And I do still feel like he'll re-sign. I still maintain that I think he's got the highest ceiling of anybody to come through in that crop of youngsters. And if he came through, I think he's a player in 5 years' time, 10 years' time that would be looking at like, I can't believe that we let him slip. It's honestly, I genuinely believe it'd be I rate him so highly, I think it'd be one of the most important pieces of business this club could do. But you're right in that, you know, you need someone that's committed. You're right in saying that I don't think he's necessarily up to it right now. Maybe the Euros has changed that. He's obviously a lot wiser, hopefully, because of that experience. But the other way to look at it, mate, is that a lot of the boys that played in that England team aren't getting regular minutes. None of the guys that I mentioned are getting regular minutes. Dane Scarlett's not. Harvey Vale isn't. You know, but Tim played a pretty crucial role. He's not. Aaron Ramsey, has he played minutes for the first team?
I don't think he has. Maybe only in pre-season.
Yeah, and it's like not a lot of the guys in that England team, if any, are playing regular football at the moment. So perhaps it's not necessarily as important as we see it right now. It's a very interesting situation. Super interested to see how the club handle it. But we've really got our ducks in a row recently. I don't think we're going to let an academy player mess us around too much. I'd like to think that whatever's going on is going on in the background. And maybe it's just like we said with Ashley, mate, is that it's never easy to get contracts sorted. They're incredibly difficult things to nail down and get sorted. It's very easy that it's a formality. So we'll have to wait and see, mate. I don't think it's one that will drag on too long. And you know, if we go into the season and there's still no deal, I think we'll have a good sense of where we're at. I think if it's going to be done, it will get done in this transfer window.
I hope so. But like, you know, just to shout them out again, fantastic campaign. Tim played quite a few games. Carney, almost ever present. Aaron scoring in the final as well. Fantastic to see. And it's going to be good to see them in pre-season as well. I know they had, I think the way people are a bit confused with what's going on in pre-season. It looks like people are back today, but the internationals have been given an extra week off, and it looks like they may meet up with everybody in Australia, which is fair. I think these younger lads had a break before the Euros. I think Carney was in Marbella with his brother. I imagine they'll get another break, but hopefully we get to see some of these guys in action during pre-season as well, mate, because you know, it'd be good to see how they fit in with the first team. I guess they've trained with them quite a bit. You know, when you look at Carney, as someone who's generally been in and around the squad, and Tim as well. And it'd be interesting to see what the future lies for them. I think there's been a lot of reports of Tim going out on loan. I think there was QPR, Middlesbrough was one, I think, Sheffield United as well, another club that have been linked with him. Be interesting to see what happens there. Again, I think that all kind of depends on what business gets done, and where we stand with Dougie. And yeah, I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see, mate. And as well, the news has come out. Trezeguet has left the club. Kind of sad about this one, mate, because he
Yeah.
he was never, he was almost written off before he came in, which is a little bit unfair. Admittedly, an extremely limited player, but scored some incredibly important goals for Aston Villa. And I think ultimately, mate, history will look back very kindly on Trez, won't it?
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. It's a really it's a necessary deal for both. I want him to go and enjoy his career and play as much football as he can. It's obviously a league that he knows well, so it's a really good transfer on that sort of level. And yeah, you're right, mate. In that a lot of those players that we'll probably see leave the club in the not too distant future, guys like El Ghazi, guys like Trezeguet, really helped this club to get it back on its feet, and we wouldn't be where we are without them. It's difficult to sort of understate how those goals felt. You think of the brace against Crystal Palace, the goal against Arsenal, the goal against Leicester that sent us to Wembley. Yeah, you're right in saying that he was never going to set the world light, never did set the world light for Aston Villa. But, in those moments where we desperately needed someone, and for the longest time, nobody was showing up. He did. And, those goals, we always say it was but I think when we're older and we look back at Villa staying up and that incredible great escape, I think that Grealish goal against West Ham will be credited as the goal that saved us. Yeah. It wasn't really. It wasn't. The only reason Jack had that ability to go and score that goal and save his boyhood club was because Trezeguet had done the groundwork against, as I said, against Arsenal, against Palace in those games and stuff like that. So, yeah, shout out to you, Trez. More power to you, mate. I'm sure a lot of Villa fans will watch his career very eagerly. Yeah, I think, yes, as you say, mate, a little bit sad, but one that, yeah, you hope he goes on and does well, don't you?
Absolutely. I'm just trying to think, is there anything else? A bit of an announcement we can end on, but
yes, yeah. I'm trying to think. You're right. It has been a bumper episode, mate. Yeah, obviously, I like seeing the boys back in pre-season was awesome. Diego Carlos at Bodymore for the first time, so I'm excited to get some. I'm sure we'll get a bit of content from that and stuff like that. So I'm very excited. Pre-season
squad numbers is always fun.
Yes, pre-season is this week. Warsaw's this week, isn't it? Saturday.
Indeed.
So yeah, I would love to milk it and say we'll get a preview out of that, but we probably won't, will we? But yeah, we'll definitely talk about it. We'll definitely do a post match. Yeah. I'm sure everyone's very excited to gauge a lot of these players. Obviously, hopefully see some action from the likes of Carlos and stuff like that. Pretty. That's going to be a real bump down to earth, isn't it? Been playing in La Liga for the last 3 years, and then his first game for Villa's at the best goal.
He's going, what have I signed for?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, if he's going to play for this club, he's got to get used to going and playing at Walsall pre-season. Exactly. It's not Australian pre-season tours every week, Diego. You got to play against the boys at Walsall. Very excited for that, mate. But I think as Villa roundups go, there's not been any big links.
Ooh,
I think that's.
Do you know what we didn't talk about? We didn't talk about the badge last time. There's comments about the badge. Where do you sit on that, right? Because it's such a divisive thing, right? Personally, I don't mind the badge now. I don't think it's a bad badge, but I understand it represents possibly one of our worst eras in general, really, doesn't it? It's been a fairly shit time since we've had that badge. Round badge people, there's this debate. Like, people think round badge people are weird. Some people think the shield people are weird. I feel like people take it way too seriously. And whilst it would be disastrous if the club absolutely ruined the badge and completely butchered it, does the badge, does it matter as much? Does it have as much emphasis and meaning as we seem to be putting on it, mate? Or the club is still the club, whether the badge is round or a shield or a lion.
My thoughts on this are pretty simple, to be fair. I really
you want the round badge, don't you?
I do. I really like that one that everyone's, the one that got bounded about. I want to shout out the guy that made it, because I think it's important when someone creates stuff like that and it gets sort of tossed around, and I always want to credit the person who made it, but I can't. I've forgotten your name. I'm sorry. People know the one I'm on about.
Credited enough.
I really like that. And I think I don't like the current. It's not that I don't like the current badge. I just think it's the weakest in recent sort of history. I think the main color has to be claret. I think the main colors at the moment are like light blue, yellow, and white.
Yeah.
And so obviously that needs to change. The main color needs to be claret. I think people underestimate how an expensive an operation this is. This
Oh
is a
yeah, 100%.
multi-million pound operation. Like, it's not just to design the badge, but then you've got to replace all of the signage, all of the gear, everything at the training ground, everything at Villa Park. You think how many times you see the Villa badge on a match day to Villa Park? Everything has to be changed. All has to be changed on all the documentation, everything. It's a multi-million pound deal, and we wasted it last time because all we did was take prepared off the badge. That was it. That was literally the only change we made.
Yeah.
So obviously, Randy Lerner came in, we changed the badge then, and then when we got relegated, we changed it once more. And so probably that was a bit of a waste looking back at it. So the club have got to get it right. It's a very expensive deal, but I like the timing. It's a new era for this club. It feels a completely different organisation, like barely recognisable. And so I think a change of badge is nice if we're going to this new age. I think the club will get it right as long as you don't go and do a Leeds or something like that. I'm pretty easygoing. And I think they'll consult the fans enough. And I do think it will go to a round badge. I think obviously when they put the post out, they included pictures of 1982 and stuff like that, didn't they, in the imagery to go along with the post, which I think is quite telling. You and I both work in social, Dan, and we know how carefully chosen things like that are. Do you know what I mean? And so I don't think that's necessarily a coincidence. I think they will go to that. And hey, I'm all for it. It's something that obviously a lot of people want back. I get that. I like the badge. I think I like the badge that we grew up with the stripes behind the lion. And
100%.
Like when
I was
we
going to
were
say that.
kids.
I think that's
I don't know if that's a
badge.
nostalgia thing, but I think that's desperately underrated. I really do.
I like it.
So yeah, I'm a fan of the round badge. I like Villa badges, man.
Do you think the club care realistically? Because there's all this stuff about season tickets being overpriced and training wear being overpriced, and God forbid how much the Balti Pie is going to cost next year. I can't even begin to imagine how much it's going to cost. It seems like at the moment the club are very out of touch with the fans, and this is a PR exercise to the absolute maximum. Christian person, we want the fans to have their say and all this kind of stuff. Do you think they really care, mate, or do you think they just don't want to completely screw it?
I think you're right in saying that there is a PR element to this. I think they do. I think we have to be prepared that it will be a, inverted commas, commercialized badge. I think, when that graphic that always goes banded around, it's like Alaves changed their badge from this to this, and Brentford from this to this, and City to that. And it's like that circle. And I think the decision to go back to a round badge could be heralded as listening to the fans, but it also could be to sort of go into that new era of football badges that we see more and more. So I think it's perhaps a little, the club can, that's PR, mate. That's PR. I think we have to be prepared that it will be a more commercially viable badge. I think it will be more in line with what we see from modern football. And hey, mate, I think that's my view on everything like this. I think that's my view on the price rises. I think that's my view on the stadium changes. It's like, man, like it or loathe it, this is modern football. This is where it's going. And this club aren't in the right mind to be left behind. They want to be seen as forefront. They want to be seen as right with it in the industry. Pioneers, in fact. They want to be blazing their own trail, and not to be seen to be left behind. And I think, unfortunately, we're going to have to stomach a few things as fans. And obviously, I think they will keep one eye on history and tradition, but this club have got to move with the times. And I think that'll be my 1 cent on a lot of this stuff, mate, with the changes to the club. I think it's modern football, baby. And that's the way it is.
Guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I know a few of you were asking for our thoughts on the round badge. Personally, I don't mind. But yeah, I'm like, I think what bothers me is the amount of people that are like, the club cares so much. Personally, I don't think they do. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to know yours. And guys, we've got a really exciting interview series coming over the next month or so, I want to say. I need to get around to editing them, but we've got 2 hours of just amazing audio that you guys are going to enjoy. And for those of you who've listened this far, we'll give you a hint. It's with a Scottish person, and that is all you guys can know for now. But yeah, I'm going to look to get that edited and hopefully have one up a week. It should be 4 episodes. So yeah, I'm yet to decide on a day and stuff like that. But that's going to be really exciting. I'm really looking forward to you guys hearing this.
Yep.
Shout out to a very special person who put us in touch. I'm not going to name them because there are a few issues. So anonymity, but yeah, you really hooked us up, mate. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, for watching. Comment your thoughts below and subscribe for more of the Villa.